Hi, welcome to this week's Torah. Depending on when you listen to this is either going to be one of the last Divrei Torah that you hear in 2020 or one of the first Divrei Torah that you're going to hear in 2021. And so I'd like to maybe give a bit of a perspective on this, looking at this week's Sedra and trying to understand it through that lens. Many people look back at the year 2020 as a year they'd like to forget. So many people say, well, 2021 can't get any worse than 2020, God. We hope we don't have another repeat of that. Please, God, we're going to get out of this. Let's all forget about what happened in 2020. And yet, I think in this week's Sedra, there is something to be learned that we can even use to remember 2020 by. We see in the beginning of the parasha, Vayechi Yaakov Eretz Mitzrayim, Yaakov Avinu lived in Mitzrayim, 17 years. And those 17 years were the best years of his life. In those 17 years, he didn't have to worry about his father-in-law anymore. He didn't have to worry about his brother anymore. He didn't have to worry about the strife between his children. He was reunited with Yosef. He lived a very idyllic life being supported by the Pharaoh. It was a really great time for Yaakov Avinu. And in those 17 years, he almost makes up the time for the 130 years that came before then. And he looks back, say the Mefarshim, at those 130 years that came before. And he says, I now understand everything in context. And I can make the most of these last 17 years because of what I've been through in those 130 years. And I think the same is true for us also to understand as far as 2021 is concerned. Yes, 2020 was a hard year. People lost their jobs, people lost relatives, family members, people died, people lost their mental health, people were stuck at home. Lots of things didn't go right or went wrong in 2020. But people learned about resilience. People learned about giving. People learned about friendship. People learned about real values and what's important to them in life. There's so many amazing lessons that people learned in 2020. And to just move into 2021 and say, let's forget entirely about 2020 would be a waste of all of those great lessons that we have learned throughout this past year. So yes, we hope to get out of the pandemic. And please God, with all the vaccinations that are coming out now and the advances in technology, we hope very much that we will get out of this problem. Hopefully within the next half year, maybe a little bit later, but hopefully soon. But that doesn't mean 2020 was a waste of a year. There were still blessings that people had in 2020. There were lessons that they learned that they can now apply to their life, and hopefully when they come out of Corona, they don't drop those lessons, but they continue to live life with those lessons. That's how we need to move into 2021. So in the same way Yaakov looks back and says, this was a difficult time, but now I can see it all in perspective. We need to look back at 2020 as well. Say, yes, this was a difficult time, but we're going into 2021 with a new perspective, with a better perspective, with a perspective where we're going to make the most out of the next year, no matter what comes to us. And please God, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should give us a good year of 2021, a year of health, a year of prosperity, and a year where we come out of this stronger and better. Wishing you all a very good Shabbos and a happy new year.